to another fine episode of Podcast of the Fallen. Second to last of what was this, season 2? I imagine we were calling it.
Season 2. I've been
Yeah,
labeling them as seasons on Spotify, so I think it counts as a season.
yeah. So I am Matt, once again back here with Nate to
Yep.
discuss basically the ending.
Yeah, the ending of Deadhouse Gates.
Yeah,
I think we might be able to. Maybe I'll just say this at the top of the episode. We might be able to run through this a bit quicker. One,
yeah.
because Matt has plans with his family tonight, so
I know. I can't believe I'm a social person in some aspects.
he's prioritizing his family over the podcast people. Um,
It's a
but
disgrace. I know.
so we might run through this one maybe a bit quicker. We'll see. But
Yeah,
also because we're recording tomorrow morning with Lee from Smiley's podcast. So we'll give more of our overall thoughts on the book as a whole and our favorite characters and plot lines when we have him on the podcast tomorrow.
yeah. So today will be more of the usual procedure minus the big reveal of what we really think about this book.
I think people can probably guess. We've been pretty positive.
Have we? Just kidding. Yeah. No, it was a great book. I really enjoyed it, but I'll save more of that for tomorrow or next time.
Yeah, so I think we're just gonna jump right in.
Let's do it.
Chapter 22. Kalam makes it to shore, bleeding and having lost his armor and weapons. Using his claw training, he stops his bleeding and draws his body heat inwards. He collects makeshift weapons from a warehouse tool rack and kills 2 Claw hiding in a pool of magical darkness. He ambushes the other 3 members of the Hand and kills them before speaking to Topper through the corpse of the dead leader. Fiddler's Group walks across hand-sized tiles in the Warren of the Azath. Relok recognizes one tile as a map of Quantali, and Fiddler is awed by the scale of what they're seeing. Iskaro Pust and then Mappo and Akarium vanish through the floor. 3 dragons pass overhead, and Fiddler reflects on the insignificance of their lives. High Fist Pormqual is an idiot and blames the death of refugees on Coltaine. Duerker attempts to speak with him but is silenced in order to accompany the army on their attack against Corbolo Dam. Before he leaves, he kills Nethpara by kicking him in the throat. Keneb hears the historian refer to Malakrel as Gistal and recognizes the name. Malakrel betrays the army, delivering them to Chemist Relo and Corbolo Dam. Blistig and the city garrison stay behind to man the walls. When Duerker points this out, Malik slaps him to the ground, and the vial given to him by Coltaine breaks against his chest. Pormqual is beheaded. All 10,000 soldiers of the army are crucified on the trees lining Aaron Way. Duerker is the last, and the Jagut ghost finds him as he fades away. All right, so did you think it would get worse?
No, I didn't. I really didn't think it would get that much worse. But you said it, you put it quite eloquently. Pormqual is an idiot.
He's stupid.
You know, that little, this is the very last chapter, right? Or second to last?
This is 22 of 24.
Oh, crap. I'm getting them all. I thought they were all one chapter for some reason in my mind. I read it way too late last night. He kind of reminds me of the king, the guy posing as the king in Lord of the Rings of the one city. Do you remember?
Oh
He
yeah.
grieved over his son and everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Malakrel is definitely like Wormtongue.
Yeah, Wormtongue. Yep.
Wormtongue is like the gross little advisor dude that infected the king with evil. But then that king gets restored, and
Yeah.
like I don't think Pormqual has ever been a good leader.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like he's like that one king, like the advisor from the White City or whatever, but mixed with the infection of the one dude from Wormtongue.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
bad dude. Bad news
Yeah.
bears.
Yeah, this is you'll see this all the time on the Malazan subreddit, but it's the obligatory fuck Malakrel.
Just like it's just so sad that that's how it ended for a lot of them. Like I remember reading that and I was just like, why? No, no, it's already bad enough. And you had to do this.
Yeah, so we'll jump into all of that
But
and then we'll go back and talk about the other stuff in the chapter. Yeah, so
yeah,
Duerker summoned to try to talk to Pormqual because Blistig, captain of the city guard, is like, this doesn't seem good.
nope.
And Duerker is just silenced. He does kill a noble, though.
I was so happy. He's like, well, here's my whatever, my advice, or just
Yeah,
kick some.
here's one last insult for you, I think is he says something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
what it was. Here's one last insult. I reread that whole section probably like 3 times. So I was like, did this all really happen?
Oh
I was like,
yeah.
No way. And like, and it's like he stared lifelessly up at the sky. I was like, I mean, I don't condone, killing people in any way, but in this story, I feel it was well deserved. That nobleman, he had overstepped way too many times.
It's the same one he was stopped from killing earlier, too.
I know. That's what made it even better. I was like, finally, finally.
Yep. Funny how fiction can just make killing someone feel so good.
I know. It's really sad to say, but at the same time, at the same time, it's like it's one of those things where you're like, okay, yeah, no, he was a bad dude.
Yeah. And Kineb recognizes the term Gistal when
Oh yeah.
Duiker calls Malakril that. Did you remember that from earlier in the book?
I was trying to remember what it was, but then it was so late reading it last night that I was just like, I'm sure I'll pick up once we get to that again. Because I couldn't remember what it was initially, but I'm like, I remember like as soon as I saw his reaction, I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember something about that. But
Yeah, Kalam, one of when Kalam is at that fire with like the bandits that later
mhm.
attack Kineb and the family, one of them says that they'll be fine because the Gistal is within Aaron.
Oh
So Malakril's been working for the rebellion the whole time.
yeah, very apparent.
Yep. But good on Kineb. He warns Blistig and the city guard stays behind to man the walls.
Yeah, way good. I was worried for a moment because I was like, wait, please don't say Caneb made like walked out there. And then when they're like the city guard hung back, I was like, yes, yes. I barely know the guy from this story, but still at the same time, I'm so happy he
Like,
stayed back.
yes, good job.
Yeah. And I was like, poor Dewicker.
Oh yeah. That moment when Duiker lets his horse go
Yep.
because he recognizes that they're all dead.
Yeah. They're like, what are you doing? He's like, it's game over.
My horse might as well live.
Yeah. He's like, we don't need to, I don't need to kill my horse. She's been too nice to me.
Like, and it's interesting to me that two of like the moments of compassion that like attempt to balance out the horror at the end of the book is like on animals. And we'll get to the second one later, but
Yeah. Peter would be happy.
who would?
Isn't it PETA or PETA or whatever they're called? The animal rights activist group.
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were referencing PETA from Hunger Games for a second, and I was like,
Oh
what?
no. No, I'm talking about the crazy group that's always like trying to save the animals or something. Anyways,
Yeah. What did you think about the thing breaking against Duiker's chest?
I was like pretty happy because I was like, it means he's not gonna completely die. Like he'll somehow live. And like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, I forgot he has the thing. He's gonna quick bends, whatever. It's gonna keep him alive a little longer.
Yep.
I don't know how, but I
Yep.
thought it was pretty cool when Duker was like, you didn't get everyone. There's still guards back there. And the one dude was like, what's his name? Kalam or no.
Oh, Malakrel.
No, the leader dude,
Pornqual.
the other one of the rebellion, the really bad guy.
Oh, Corbolo Dom.
Corbolo Dom, yeah. He's like he gets kind of annoyed because he's like, you still screwed up somehow or something.
Yeah, there have been many failures this day, just all, or many disappointments or something like that.
Yeah.
Because he also specifically asks, I want to kill the archer that took our fun away from us with Coltaine.
Yeah. And
And
he's like, he disappeared. Come
yeah,
on.
he disappeared. He was kind of broken by that, which understandable.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad to see
and
Malik not have 100% success at least.
yeah, and then as they're riding out, Form Call, Duiker's like, the High Fist can't even ride well.
You know. And then when he
But
gets decapitated, he's like, he's still writing the
speaking
same.
speaking of people dying being kind of satisfying, you don't even see Pormqual for that long on page, and I'm still like, yeah. Because even Corbolo Dom's like, I'm not gonna give him the honor of crucifying him with everyone else.
Yeah. He's like, he was terrible, terrible leader. He's like, just kills him right there and the horse rides off.
Hmm.
And
Body
like,
riding with more grace than he did in life.
yeah, thought that was so funny. I was like, that's pretty sad. He must have been a really bad writer then.
Yep. Yeah, and then all 10,000 soldiers are nailed to the trees.
That's a lot of soldiers.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
it's
trees.
it's a lot.
Because they're like over a day of doing it. I was just like, that's so sad.
Day and a half, 40 hours.
I was like, just, I feel like that's an example of just pure evil.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
just,
it's awful.
yeah, I read that and I was just like, oh, they're not even just going to be like prisoners of war or anything. It's like, this is 10,000 of them. This is what they're going to do to them. I was like, that's just so sad.
And we learn later Corbola Dom's reason for doing it is because he wants to rattle the adjunct. He wants to rattle Tavor when she gets here, and that's why
Yeah.
he's killing them instead of treating them like, you know,
Uh,
enemy soldiers.
yeah. Which is just like, I like, it was kind of sickening a little to read it because you're just, what has just so messed up on so many levels, I feel like.
I I hesitate to say this, but in some ways it feels almost worse than the end of the Chain of Dogs. Like it doesn't get me as emotional as like the
Yeah.
fall of Coltaine, but
Hmm.
in some ways it's even because like the Chain of Dogs, Coltaine and his soldiers were fighting until the end, and they knew they were going to die, and it was a
Yeah.
battle and all of that. But then this just
Oh, I
like
agree.
it breaks even in a fantasy world, it breaks like every law of war that you can imagine.
Yeah. Because it's like these guys go out there, throw down their arms, don't even put up a fight, and then they're just all killed. And not like a merciful way either.
No, having to stand, some of them having to stand there for like 30 plus hours watching their friends and comrades die.
And then just to
Well,
be
not
killed the
die,
same
but
way.
just be nailed to a tree and then slowly suffer.
Yeah. Like a slow, painful death. I'm like, that's just like, oh, it's so bad. Yeah, I definitely didn't think it'd get that like that, get that much worse.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yep. I did it. Yeah. I started reading and I was like, oh, yeah. I wonder if Matt saw this coming.
Oh no. I was thinking, because my whole thought was like, all right, we got 3 chapters left or whatever. We're gonna see the resolution, a little bit of Kalam. We're gonna see a little bit of Fiddler and the gang. We're gonna see maybe the refugees and like them prepping to defend, not, oh, here we go. Like, let's just go lay down our arms and all die because some moron told us to do. I'm like, it's kind of surprising to me, especially after they watched like Pormqual do nothing for the chain of dogs and they still are like, let's just follow him anyways. Like, it's just so sad that that's the training and they chose to do that.
Yeah, it's the training and then yeah, that's what it is. And they thought they were going out to attack a sleeping army at first.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for Malagro being a huge asshole and betraying everyone.
Yeah. No, it's so bad. So sad.
Yeah. And Malagro also is just like betrayal aside, he's also just like a huge asshole because he takes personal pleasure in seeing Duiker suffer
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of that one slight that Duiker gave him at the beginning of the book in the first meeting with Coltaine.
Hmm. Yeah. No, he reminds me, he's that character like Wormtail in Harry Potter, where he's just kind of like a slimy coward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like those are my least favorite characters in any sort of story and real life where I'm just like, it's just really disappointing just to see them. I don't know, like you could have like the pure evil, mega ultra lord or whatever, and I'm still like, yeah, but you're not as bad as that guy, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. The big evil overlord, you're like, well, your aspect is being evil. You don't have a choice. Malagro, it's like you chose to be this guy.
You chose this. Like, I mean, yeah, Corbolo Dom chose some things and he's a terrible being, but like he's just evil. But like the other guy, it's like I think it's the deceitfulness as well that I'm just kind of like I'm
It's
like,
not
at
the
least
fact that
just
it's not the fact that he betrayed 10,000 men to their deaths. It's the fact that he lied to them before he did it.
Yeah. I'm like, at least have honesty in what you're doing. I mean, Corvolo Dom, at least we know his agenda. We're like, okay, we got an idea. He's just a terrible guy.
Yeah,
But the other guy is just like, oh, you don't even know what to expect. You're just like, oh, you're just terrible.
yeah. Well, you don't swear, and I feel like it needs to be said more than once, so I'll say it, and then we can move on to the other stuff in this chapter. But
Mhm.
fuck Malacrel.
He's a
So
terrible dude.
I'll say it once for each of us.
There you go.
Anyways, at the beginning of the chapter, we have
Yes.
Kalam being a badass.
As always. As always.
What did you think of his claw training, stopping bleeding and
I
drawing his
know.
body heat inwards?
I was like, what is this? What is this sorcery? This witchcraft? And I'm like, that is so cool. Because I was like, he just gets better and better. I was like, because even Pearl's just like, yeah, you'll still make it out. And then so I see him make it out, and he's like, oh, my chainmail, all my stuff is at the bottom. He's like, well, let's figure out what to do from here. And I'm like, let's see it. Let's see it.
I'll climb up a rope to the dock and draw my body heat inward to the point where when I touch the metal on the piling, it's war.
Yeah. I'm like, how? I'm like, if you could physically do that, that'd be so cool. Like in real life, But I'm like, that makes sense. Like the claw training and all that now, even more.
And you'd think he'd be like, I don't think Kalam gets like full on scared, but you think he'd be like anticipating or like hesitate going up against a bunch of people with magic, and he's like, nah, their reliance on magic makes them stupid.
Yeah. He's just like, yeah, they still have no idea what they're gonna do. Like it's just so cool to see his confidence entering into this, where he's like, and the hunter, and he's like, and so the hunt begins. He's like, I wonder how many are here.
Yeah,
And
he sees a pool of darkness, dashes in, and just immediately they're dead.
yeah, and he's using blacksmith tools, like an old hatchet, a broken knife, and he has like the leather apron on. And he just has like he's barefooted and his like pants or whatever.
You know what this is? I don't think this was gamed by Erickson and Esselmont, but this is either in a video game or a tabletop game. This is the mission where you lose all of your stuff and you have to make
Yeah,
do with stuff that you find for a little bit. And then as you kill more enemies, you slowly get more and more weapons because he immediately loots their bodies for all of their stuff.
yeah. And he puts on their cloak and describes it like totally unnecessary, I feel like, to describe the cloak, but it was so cool because he's like, there's like gauze cutouts for the ears to hear better and the peripheral vision. I was like, that is ingenious. That was like such
Assassin's
a cool
Creed,
detail.
Assassin's Creed, eat your heart out.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah, it reminded me of like there's a part in Breath of the Wild where you go to this island and you're stripped of everything you have, and you just have to fight everyone, fighting with like sticks and rocks and slowly building up your arsenal again.
Pretty much. And then after he kills the two hiding in the pool of darkness, he sneaks up on the other three.
Mhm.
And no, this is not the part where he does like one of the coolest kill moves ever.
The knee one.
No, it's the elbow one. I think it's next chapter when he's sneaking around. He
Oh
kills
yeah.
someone by elbowing them in the back of the head so hard that they die instantly.
Oh yeah, the leader, and then takes out the other two.
Yeah, I don't think that's here.
No, I think
Um,
that's later on because it's just like that because he takes out the two, I think, and then here's a Topper, and then that's kind of like that for this chapter.
yeah, he kills the first two, then kills the other three, and then Topper talks to him through the corpse
Yep.
of the leader, kind of giving you what's gonna be happening later.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we have Fiddler and company just walking across an endless sea of tiles. And at one point,
Hmm.
Apsalar's dad recognizes, wait a second, this one tile that's the size of my hand has like most of the continent where I grew up on it. And Fiddler's like, so what are all of these other ones?
They're like, the world's a little bigger.
World's bigger than they thought. And then three dragons just ignore them, sail by.
Yeah. He's like, wow, we really are small and insignificant. I was like, yeah, no, that way to think on reality that way.
Yeah, I don't have too much more about that. Pust and Mappo and Akarium vanish in there, but
Hmm. They were so sad when they found out Puss didn't die.
yeah, you got to take the bad with the good, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I was like, yeah, that's true.
Oh, I did love Crocus dove for Mappo and Icarium and almost started falling through. Or Absolar did, and Crocus grabs her, and it's like a cartoon where he starts getting dragged along, and
Yeah.
then Absolar's dad stops them both, and Fiddler's like, "Okay, we're tying ourselves together."
If we all go, if one of us goes, we all go.
Yep.
No, that was an interesting scene. It like added more of the oh geez, the mystique and grandeur to like the Warrens and interconnected
Yeah.
magical universe, I guess is what you could call it.
Adds more to like the quote unquote metaphysics of the world, maybe.
Yeah. And I think it adds more detail into, or just like adds more to something to think about, like Fiddler just being like, wow, yeah, no, us mortals, there's not much for us.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of watching like a YouTube video of like the true scale of the universe, or anytime I look up anything about space, I'm like, wow, I Earth is
Yeah.
tiny.
I know it reminds me is like a Neil deGrasse Tyson thing he talked about where he's like, the more you study the universe, the more you realize how insignificant a lot of things are. It reminded me of I think it was one of the astronauts on the Apollo missions or something when they looked back at the Earth, they're like, wow, it makes the conflicts on Earth seem rather insignificant when you look at it all
Oh
at
yeah,
one go. I was like,
yeah,
that's a neat
definitely.
perspective. But
Yeah, I think I'm sure a couple of astronauts have said something like they wish everyone could go up, like
oh,
could go to
I
the
think they
moon and
have.
see how tiny it is.
Yeah.
Like it would change your whole worldview.
Yeah. Which I think is definitely needed. A lot of things
Oh
going
yeah,
on today.
yeah, for sure.
Not to get too political or anything, but
I also hate that we can't say it's needed in the world with what's going on today, and then we have to say not to get political, even though that's just like a true statement.
I know. Yeah. No, it just reminds me because I'm like, yeah, no, that's one thing I've really enjoyed about this book. Like so far is just things like that. But we'll save that for tomorrow.
Yep. Are we good to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, chapter 23. Kalam kills another few assassins before being pinned in an alley. He climbs a balcony to get vantage before being forced off it by a dog. He's about to die when he is saved by the dog and then saved again by Manala. She rides them towards Mock's Hold where Lysine is. Fiddler's group arrives at the dead house. There they find Gothos, Icarium's father, who explains that Icarium's curse was born of his efforts to free Gothos from the Azath, and that he did not understand that Gothos was content. When they leave the house, they are met by Apt and Panic, who will take them to Kalam. Kalam meets with Lysine and she convinces him not to kill her. Dujek's outlawing was the plan all along to fight the Panion Doman, and Tayshiren's actions were not on her orders. Kalam realized at one point that Lysine wasn't there anyways and was speaking out of a corpse instead. Topper appears after the assassin leaves and says that Dancer himself would hesitate before taking on Kalam. Kalam interrogates Captain Aragan before being ambushed by Claw and saved by Apt and Fiddler. Shadow Throne gives the group boons. Apsalar, Relok, and Crocus are sent to the Khanese coast. Fiddler is sent to re-enlist in the army that is being sent to 7 cities, and Kalam and Manala are sent to rest and take care of the 1,300 children that Shadowthrone saved. So, first, we just have Kalam being more of a badass. This is where he does the elbow kill, and
Yeah.
then tries to catch both crossbows, only catches one.
No, it was insane reading some of that because he's like, all right, another how many down, another how many down. He's like, I'm running low on this. I need to kill some more guys to get more of them, type of thing.
He,
And just like even has a knife in his shoulder and just keeps going.
yeah, he even does one of those things that I feel like I do all the time in stealth games, where
Yeah.
just for no reason at all, I climb something high to get a vantage point, and then he's about to do like an Assassin's Creed above in the air kill on one of the guys passing by when he gets hit with magic instead.
Yeah. No, that was so cool because he's just hanging there using the grip, the like the tool from the blacksmith or whatever.
Yeah.
He starts climbing up slowly because he's like, oh, if they see too much movement, they'll catch me. And I was like, this is just insane.
And then the dog is there just eating a rat, and he's like, good doggy, be quiet.
And then the dog falls over and saves him from the one dude. And then they're like, oh, kill the dog. And he's like, no, don't do that. And chucks
He
the
just
dog up
tosses
there.
it up onto the balcony like it's nothing.
Yeah. And the lady's like, oh, you're back.
Yeah, and then he's like, kill me. And she's about to, and then hit with the crossbow so hard that she stumbles against him.
And the bolt almost hits him.
Yep.
Lo and behold, it's his mighty steed with his, for some reason, lover, I guess. I don't
Yep.
know.
Yep. But that's the least of Kalam's section in this chapter. First we get Fiddler's group arriving at the Deadhouse, which is the Yazath house in Malaz City. What did you think of Gothos?
Uh, I thought that was way cool. I'm like, this is like one of the nicest things Erickson has done for us, giving us a solid explanation.
Yeah, and Fiddler, it's even like it's classic exposition. Fiddler's like, and so where does Akarium's curse come from? And Gothos is like, here is where his curse comes from.
I was like, I literally thought that because I was just like, this is, I'm like, I like this may feel out of place for some people or a little strange, but I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I've wanted for all 800 pages of this book.
Yep. It's kind of too bad to me that Akarium's curse was kind of for nothing because Gothos is just fine being in the Azath.
He's like, solidarity is what Jagut need, I
Unlike
guess.
you humans that need community.
Yeah, so lame. That's kind of crazy. He's just like chilling there, living there for thousands upon thousands of years,
Yep. And the Nameless Ones destroyed Mappo's village and then blamed it on Akarium.
which is kind of messed up. Because his dad is in charge of the nameless ones, then, right?
No,
Is
his
that
dad
what it
is not.
sounded like?
No, his dad is not in charge of the Nameless Ones. His dad was. Akarium just thought that his dad had been taken by the Azath, and so
Mm,
attacked it, trying to
mm,
free his dad, not understanding that his dad was perfectly happy.
yeah. Okay. Yep.
And Akarium was roaming free for a few years there because the the handler, you could say, that the Nameless Ones had for Akarium before Mappo killed himself.
And what I thought was interesting is his dad was like, so you guys couldn't bring me a Carium? And they're like, what? That was our job?
Yeah, no, that wasn't part of our mission. We weren't doing that.
No, you can blame Mappo. I thought that was pretty funny. But then then he drinks the water. They're like,
Yeah,
how
and
was that? He's like, don't drink it if you don't
it
have to.
like forcibly forces his ankle into the right position and heals it.
Yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool though.
Pretty cool. Um, and then we have Kalam's meeting with Lysine. Just what did you think?
I didn't think, well, initially I was just like, something is off 100%. Like it just is blatantly obvious. Something's off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I thought it was rather interesting her telling of everything, of like her plan. And it kind of explained some things. It made a little more sense.
It did. Yeah, it did definitely explain some things.
I was like, Erickson, once again, at the end of this book is just like, here's an exposition. Here you go.
Yeah,
Here's some
and
information.
also here's a twisting of what this is. You thought this was going to end in one way, and I'm ending it in a different way.
Yep. Yeah.
So Kalam even addresses that. I wanted to point this out because he he comes out and Manala's like, you're telling me you crossed 3 continents and you didn't kill her? And Kalam's like, it's our nature, isn't it? Again and again, we cling to the foolish belief that simple solutions exist. I anticipated a dramatic, satisfying confrontation, the flash of sorcery, the spray of blood. I wanted a sworn enemy dead by my hand. Instead, I had an audience with a mortal woman, more or less.
And it was her talking through a corpse.
Yeah, so
So
I just think that's really funny that Erickson kind of turned Kalam into like himself for a second, and Kalam's kind of talking to the audience like, look, I know you wanted this, but
yeah,
instead, you know what?
it's not that simple. No, I thought that was a great explanation. I thought it was pretty funny. And then I thought it was hilarious Topper's interaction with her afterwards.
Oh yeah.
So great.
So you're gonna call off your guys now, right? Your assassins. And Topper's like, I told you I can't, but we need him. I need him alive. And Topper's like, you don't think they're gonna win, right?
It that's why I love is Topper's like, we need to take out the weak ones anyways. He's
Yeah,
like,
this
this is
is a
just
this is a winnowing of the claw.
he's like, this is a win for us, actually. He's like,
Yeah. And then he says, Dancer, who ascended to become the god of assassins, Cotillion, would hesitate before fighting Kalam.
yeah. I was like, that's sweet. That was such a great line. I was like, so Klomp just gets better and better as each page turns. The more and more they're just like the literal god of assassins is like I'll pause. He's like, I'll think about this fight.
Yep. I'll probably bring this up with Lee tomorrow too, but the first time I read that scene with Kalam, I thought Lysine was dead and she was just like a soul inhabiting and like a
Oh,
corpse. I got it completely wrong, and Lee is the one that corrected me in the comments.
oh God, yeah. No, I thought reading it, I was like, she can't be here. I was like, there's no way she's actually there. That's what I thought. And then when Topper like sees the corpse, I was like, that makes sense. I was wondering what really was going on.
Yeah. What did you think of her explanation? You think it was solid enough for Kalam to just abandon it?
I'm hesitant to say I believe her 100% because I feel like there's a possibility of not having it be all the way there, all the way accurate. Because I do feel like maybe she didn't like the bridge burners and she wanted to get rid of some of the old people. But I think her explanation of Dujek and all that feels actually not too bad. And so I think Kalam was a bit like, okay, for now, I'm not going to worry about it. I think it just gave him more of a moment of pause to be like, okay, yeah, I have bigger fish to fry right now. I can deal with this later. So,
Yeah. I also really like her explanation of why she got rid of Kellenved and Dancer. Just that, and we'll learn a little bit more about that, but like saying that she saw that they were taking the Empire in a bad direction, and the Empire is worth more than any one person, and Kilometer Jackson is like, even you? And she's like, oh yeah, the Empire is more than me too.
I think it's interesting though the concept of the empire because I'm just like, why the need for expansion? You know, then
Same reason every Empire expands.
yeah. But when they say things like that, I'm just kind of like, it's an interesting cause to live for, like a like an antagonistic, somewhat destructive expansion. You know, but yeah, no, I thought she made some good points, made her case decently enough to make me be like, all right, yeah, we'll get back to her. She's still questionable, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that Kalam just picks up on it and is like, oh, you're not here anyways. So,
Mm-hmm. She's like, wait, you're not going to kill me? He's like, yeah, not right now. No.
and then Topper appears and she's like, yeah, he's done. He's not a threat anymore. And Topper's like, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, okay, I had to put the reason I pointed this out in the summary. Captain interrogates the captain. Kalam interrogates the captain, or a captain at Mox Hold, and his name is Aragan. You have seen this guy before.
Aragon.
He is the recruiter that puts down Sari's name when Cotillion first possesses her. He's the guy that puts down her name and sends her to the bridge burners.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't catch that.
So that's a fun little detail.
It's pretty cool.
And then what did you think of Shadowthrone playing the genie and giving everyone a wish?
I was thrown for a loop, not gonna lie. Because like it I actually went back and reread a section because I was like, wait, they like legit just went to Shadow Throne's realm. Like it caught me
Yeah,
off guard for a moment, and then he's just like, "What's up, everyone? How's it going? You did great. How about a wish? How about I grant you something?" And Absolar immediately is like, "Leave me alone and every other god. We're going home."
and Crocus is like, and I'm going with her because I'm her boyfriend, right?
He's like, "I like her quite a bit. Can I go as well?" I thought that was so funny. And he's like, "All right, yeah, see you later."
And then Fiddler offers to re-enlist.
That caught me off guard a little bit. Caught me by surprise. I definitely thought Fiddler would want to go back to Quickband and them, but
Yeah, and then Shadowthrone is like, and with soldiers like these, it's no wonder we conquered half the world. And Fiddler kind of scoffs, and Shadowthrone's like, I know most of the time I'm a sarcastic asshole, but I'm not. I'm being genuine right now.
yeah, no, I thought that was pretty funny. I thought it was interesting of Kalam though, just to be like, I want a break. He's like, I'm done.
Yep, we're in love because the story says so. So let
He's like,
we'll have a break together.
he's like, I'm reading my script. It says we're taking a break from the action, and me and her are supposed to be a thing now, I guess. And he's like, yeah, great, start your family. I got 1,300 kids over there. Why don't you go take care of them?
I feel like we might be criticizing that a little much. The
Just a
romance
little
does
bit.
come out of nowhere, but I don't hate it that much.
Oh no, I just think it's more comedic than anything in some aspects. Just because it feels like a little like a bit forced. It's just kind of out of nowhere, but it's I think it's funny.
I think it
I
helps that
like
both
it.
Kalam and Manala are like, what am I doing falling in love like this?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the end of chapter 23.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Chapter 24. Felison and the army arrive at Erin and witness the devastation. We learn that Felison and Tavor argued at one point, Felison accusing her sister of killing their parents. The rebellion army will return to Raraku to prepare for Tavor. Heborek is drawn to Duiker's corpse hanging from a tree and hears a god's laughter. Blistig prepares to meet Tavor. Mappo sets a Carlium down outside Erin. He sees a cart with Gessler, Stormy, and Truth searching the trees for someone. They ask him to take a look at the dogs that survived the fall, and he says that he can't save them. However, as the soldiers leave, Mappo calls out to them. A diverse of spiders appears before Ascarl Pust. Magora has been with him for months. An undead dragon watches them before disappearing into a warren. Two Bokarala appear and take Duiker's body down. Akarium wakes up and remembers nothing of the events of the book. Mappo says that it's been only a day and reveals that he used his last elixirs to save the dogs. They set out once more. So first we've got Felison.
Yep.
I don't know.
I
What do you have about her section?
I don't think too much of it. Just I think it's interesting how she's come in to be the Shaik. She's embraced it and like how she's been doing it, I guess.
Yeah, she's like speaking with authority to the generals and being like, "No, I am the leader of this rebellion."
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting because it felt like she started to have kind of a split personality for a moment. Like the whole adoption stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like that got me a little confused.
naming the orphan Felison.
Mm-hmm. Because it felt like she was starting to see herself as two different people or something. I don't know. But no, I thought it was interesting as well to kind of get a little more of the backstory of her sister and her.
They were not close, clearly.
Nope. And but no, I think it's interesting how she still feels a little unsure in some aspects where she's like, oh, I need the god of the Warren or whatever to help me. But
Yeah.
she still has that authority and like kind of just like fake it till you make it in some aspects.
Well, that's why she goes back to Raraku, right? Because she just suddenly gets this like fear of her sister and uncertainty, and she doesn't know like how to lead people in battle, and I think that's part of why she's like, "Okay, we're going back to Raraku. We're gonna make the Malazans come to us." That's a good plan, right?
I mean, it's not actually not that bad,
No,
especially
not
where they're
really.
at. So, but I thought they would be a little more distraught by the crucifixion of thousands of soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are horrified. Like
Yeah,
Heberick doesn't react well. I think Felison is kind of putting on a face and not showing it, but
yeah,
lots of them just don't care about Malazans. So
yeah. I thought it was interesting to see. Yeah, it felt like how few of them were kind of like, this isn't feels off.
yeah, it's also kind of fun to see Corbolo down. That's been this threat to Coltaine throughout the whole book. Just kind of, no, you shut up and sit down.
Yeah, like put him in his place. Yeah, no, it was a interesting interaction. Curious to see where it goes.
And then see, look at how much easier it is to talk about these sections when we read them so recently.
Oh, I know. I
I
mean,
just had that thought.
I'm still getting the chapters confused in my head, but it's more or less all there.
And then Haboric is drawn to Duiker's corpse on the tree, and I somehow I never caught it before, but Haboric asks, like, "Who is this man? Like, does anyone know?" And Malakrel calls Duiker both of his titles. He's like, "An old man. He was just a soldier, nothing more."
Oh yeah, it's true.
So both old man and soldier, and uh, yeah, I mean,
They finally met up.
they finally met, and Haboric's like, "Do you guys hear that? Hear what?" There's a god laughing somewhere.
Yeah. I was like, Dewicker has not finished. His story's not over. It's like it can't be.
We've got Blistig preparing to meet Tavor. Nothing really there.
No.
And then we've got Mappo finding Gessler, Stormy, and Truth, who I'm pretty sure are searching for Duiker.
Yeah, thought that was interesting.
And the dogs survived. You remember that weekend dog that was always evading Bolt and had the smaller yapping one by it all the time? They
Yep.
survived,
Happily something survived.
right? Like, it's so weird how two incredibly tragic events have happened in the last few chapters. And then Mappo saves some dogs, and you're like, "Aw, that's nice."
I know. You're like, after all this tragedy, it's just kind of nice to have something like that.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Mappo is thinking, not to make light of it, but it's kind of like, what would Jesus do? He's thinking, what would Ikariam do?
I think it's interesting though that Akarian just his like memory's so bad in some like that he just the whole past events completely over his head.
That hit me hard the first time I read the book when Ikariam wakes up and remembers nothing
Hmm.
except for the very first scene that we see of them in the book. And it just starts over,
I
starts
know.
over again.
After learning all that, it's just gone.
Yeah, learning his secret and what he's done and who he is. Nope, too bad.
Nope. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
I do love that Akarium just does not begrudge Mappo using his last two life-saving elixirs on a couple of dogs. He's like, they must have been some good dogs.
I know. Yeah. No, it shows I feel like Ikarium's true character in some aspects. It seems like that. You just feel even more bad for him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That he's just trapped in that endless loop.
He's trapped. Have you seen Groundhog Day? He's trapped in a worse version of Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it's like the reverse scenario, I feel like.
I guess, yeah, where he's not learning, but he's continuing to go.
Yep. Yeah.
I need to watch
Yes.
Groundhog Day again. I've only seen it the one time.
Same. It was a good movie.
Um, your worst fear come to life. You mentioned earlier in the book that a shapeshifter of spiders would be like your worst nightmare, and here it is.
Oh, good night. Yeah, no, spiders. Me and spiders don't get along.
Yeah, all of those spiders that Akarium was not Akarium, that Iscaropust was trying to kill and telling everyone else, don't let the spiders in. It was Megora the whole time.
Have we met Megora?
Nope. She's
You
just been
say,
the spiders on the wall.
yeah. I was like, who is she? Where did she come from? I was like, what? And
She and she and Puss just argue, and Puss is like, I still have the charm.
yep. Like Pustus, you're just such a weirdo.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, great. We got this brand new character, and we're not going to figure out who she is for a while because we're not going to see anything in book three, I imagine. So,
And then last thing of the chapter, two Bocarella appear and take Dewicker down. And
yep.
we find out what the Nameless Marine wrote on the scrap that she gave to Dewicker. It was her name.
Yeah.
Say less.
I thought that was so funny. I was
I'm
like,
like,
all right.
I'm like, oh, Erickson, you attempted to make it like you gave it the apostrophe. You attempted to make it like a Seven Cities name, but it's definitely on the nose.
Oh, yeah. I was like, clever, clever. Yeah, good attempt.
And one of them grabs the now unbroken vial, and he's like, "Okay, we got him." And the other one's like, "Now humans are weird. He's gonna want his original body."
Yeah. I was like, yes, yes, it worked. I was like, his story's not over. I was so happy. As weird as it's, as sad as it was for him, but I was like, Dewicker can't die. At
Um,
least not yet.
yeah, and then I don't think we need to do like a summary about the epilogue, but there's a Wiccan widow that's about to drink a potion to purge her, basically, yeah, abort her stillborn child that's completely empty. And
Yeah.
then a storm of crows appears and she feels the child within her stir.
Yeah. I was like, I hope that's what I think it is.
It's what you think it is.
Okay, good. I
Now,
was like,
I may cut this out of our episode just for spoiler reasons. That will not be seen in the Book of the Fallen. We have to go to other Malazan books to see that.
oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Interesting. That'll be cool.
I'll probably leave that in the episode because I feel like otherwise people will, maybe new readers might read the whole series and be like, but 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 where's Coltaine?
He went through another warren in the Zath house to another entire dimension.
He's
Never to
actually
be seen
on
again.
Earth now. He
Yeah.
becomes a businessman.
Yeah. And instead of a cloak of feathers, it's a black suit and tie.
Yeah, he's actually the dad in Elf. That's how Buddy gets between New York and the North Pole. He goes through a warren.
Ah, there we go. That's a good explanation. I like it.
Yep. So that was a shorter episode. I don't
That
have
was it.
too much else to say.
Oh, we'll save a lot of some of the stuff for tomorrow. There's more I want to say, but it's not right now.
It's overarching stuff.
Yeah, because I can't think of much else except Kalam is amazing. He's just so cool. I'm excited for book 3. We did it.
Yep.
Two down.
For there probably won't be a delay for listeners, but there might be a delay for us because Matt is going on vacation next week.
Yeah.
So we might delay a bit starting book 3, but there won't be any delay for you listeners. It'll just be this episode and then the one with Lee and then start Memories of Ice.
Yep. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's all. We'll give our overarching quote unquote scores and favorite characters and plot lines and moments and stuff like that in the episode with Lee. So
yeah.
How was that, Todd?